seekers, we're in luck. If it rains all week, just pretend you're a duck. Whack, whack, wow, wow, 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 whack,
Welcome back to Deep in Bear Country, a Berenstain Bearcast. I am your host, Phil Gonzalez, and I don't know why I'm wearing these. Hold on. I was wearing headphones. I have no idea why I was wearing headphones. As if I expected something to start playing. Maybe I'm wearing them because I was afraid my hair was too messy. And you know what? It is too messy. But people listening don't care. People watching probably don't care either. Welcome back to Deep in Bear Country, as I said before. You ever think about ducks? Because today we're going to think a lot about ducks. That's right. We're going to think a lot about ducks today because today's book asks us to think a lot about ducks. Why? Is it a special duck book? Yeah, I'd say it is. It's the Berenstain Bears and the Ducklings, and I don't have a whole lot of lead into it because the book doesn't have a whole lot of there's just not a whole lot going on. It's just not a whole lot going on with this book. I mean, I like ducks. I'm fine enough, I guess. I know that they're weird socially. I know that they're somewhat aggressive animals to like other members of their species. I know they're weirdly aggressive animals if you upset them or get too close to their nests. I saw my best friend in high school get attacked by a duck once. That was pretty funny. He was just walking and he went we were just walking by a pond or lake and there was a duck out on the lake, like not even near the shore, like just out on the lake. And he pointed at it and he said, "Hey, look, a duck." And the duck went, "Quack," and like just flew straight at him and like buzzed his head and he screamed and fell on the ground. It was a pretty good moment in life. Pretty bad moment for him. I guess an amazing moment for that duck. Like, if you're a waterfowl, I assume that's like what you want. Ducks? I don't know much about ducks. I mean, I did have to look up though and say like, okay, we're covering ducks today. What is a duck? Like, what is a duck? And it's part of there's like a group of, it's like a waterfowl, obviously. But I was like, what makes a duck a duck? Like, what makes it different from a swan, say, or a goose? Shape of the bill, behaviors, I guess. There's different types of ducks. There's ducks all over the world. I think ducks are one of those animals that exists on every continent except Antarctica. There's a term for it. I'm not going to look it up. But like, so there's this form of waterfowl that is called like ananiniid, and then like a duck is like an ananinianin or ananidiandadin or something. And then like the type of duck we're discussing today is like a subset of that. In any case, ducks. We love ducks. Daffies, Donalds, what have you. Do you like duckulas? How about the other there's another vampire duck. There's duckula and then there's a vampire duck. There were two vampire ducks operating at the same time, like around the same time. There was Duckula, and I can never remember the name of the other one. But like one sued the other creatively, but it actually was able to prove that they weren't inspired by each other because no one owns the concept of a vampire duck, and there's only so many ways you can draw a vampire duck. Like, so you can create your own vampire duck, and if it's really close to another vampire duck, that's your fault for creating something that already exists, for not being original. So vampire ducks, piano playing ducks, what are the Aflac? That was a duck. There's all kinds of people love ducks. We love ducks because they have funny voices. They go quack. They waddle around. They're funny. And they have like some of the cutest babies in the animal kingdom. So today we're discussing ducks and ducklings and what kind of ducks they are. And is this book actually accurate about how ducks behave? Well, folks, let's find out. This is the Berenstain Bears and the Ducklings from, I don't know when it's from. Well, like 2016, 2017, something. I'll look it up later. So the basic plot of this book, the Bear family, they go visit their. Oh, by the way, this is an I can read book, reading level 1, beginning reading. And one, this isn't my first, it's beginning. Short sentences, familiar words, simple concepts for children eager to read on their own. So this is a book a child should be able to start like pushing their way through. So the Bear family goes to visit Farmer Ben and Mrs. Ben in order to help feed the animals. Now, keep in mind, the Bear family lives just up the road from Farmer Ben, or about a half mile from Farmer Ben, or about a mile from Farmer Ben, or on the other side of town from Farmer Ben, depending on the book, depending on the continuity. Farmer Ben's farm is either the size of a city block, it's either the size of a corner, it's either the size of half the town, it's either the entire countryside. We don't know. Farmer Ben lives in this Doctor Who-esque world where time and space don't really matter. But the bears go to visit him. They take a walk over there, I guess, and they like to feed the animals. They feed the chickens, they feed the pigs. They go down to the pond to feed the ducks. Now, there is a mama duck and a papa duck. And it says here, the papa duck has a bright green head. Now, this is a common kind of duck. You've seen them before if you've been to a pond. They're called a mallard. Mallards are super common ducks in America. They're basically your default duck. These are your default park duck. Green-headed male, brown female, and you will see them usually together, like two mallards, male and female. I guess the female is called the hen. I don't know what the male is called, but the female is called the hen. This refers to them as a mama duck and a papa duck, although we don't see any kids around, I guess. There are some other ducks around them. Maybe those are supposed to be their previous children. I don't know. We'll get into it. So the bear family waves goodbye to the ducks. Now, keep in mind that these are just ducks, we assume. These are not sentient creatures. These are not anthropomorphized animals. They don't wear clothes. They don't have houses. Just ducks. So the ducks follow the bear family home, and Mama's like, we don't have anything else to feed you. Get out, go away. But the ducks instead start snooping around the bear family's yard. Again, not sentient creatures, not anthropomorphic animals, not animals that wear clothes or have jobs or go to school, not animals that solve mysteries, certainly not animals that can talk. But they're sneaking and snooping, sniffling and snuffing around the bear family's house. And the bears are confused. Mama bear's confused, Papa bear's confused, brother and sister are in shock, and Honey Bear, her thoughts don't matter. She's not even drawn on the image. You see the bottom half of Honey Bear in this one picture. Mike was like, we'll deal with her later. So the ducks kind of poke around the yard and then throw up their snoots into the air and waddle off. And the bears are like, what was that all about? Well, they quickly find out what it was all about, because the next day, Sister goes outside the house and she hears quacking. I don't know why there's quacking. She looks in the flower bed, and well, lo and behold, there is a duck on a duck nest. It's that mama duck. And mama duck is on a duck nest. And right now I need to call this out. Ducks don't build nests like this. This nest looks a lot like a bird nest you would see in a tree. It's brown, it's fluffy, it's thick. Ducks clear space on the ground. They sort of dig out of the ground. And then the mama duck will pull like nearby leaves and grasses into the nest. But it's more of an impression in the ground. If that, famously, mallards, ducks, will build their nests wherever is convenient for them, wherever they think will be safe. You'll find them in flower beds underneath bushes sometimes, but you'll sometimes find them in the middle of a sidewalk. You'll sometimes find them on the roof of a building. And these are all not good places for a duck nest to be, and we'll find out why in a second. But I'll tell you this, if you find a duck nest in an odd place, you can't move it. Not because it's dangerous for the duck, but because duck nests, mallard nests, are protected. That's right. They are protected by the United States government. You can't move a duck nest. All you can do is your best to protect that nest. I assume it's because ducks are going off some kind of instinct. They look for places that are out of the way, what they see as secluded, what they see as, I guess, places with a good eye line, and without regard for anything that's around them. So you'll find ducks sometimes hidden, sometimes sticking out like a sore thumb. They're not smart animals, and they're not like forward thinkers. They're ducks. So Sister Bear finds Mama Duck on this weird looking duck nest. It's a cartoon duck nest. Beautifully drawn duck, beautifully painted duck. She calls the family in, and Mama's like, well, Mama's duck's gonna lay her eggs here, her duck eggs. A duck can usually lays a clutch of about 12 or 13 eggs. And Mama says we can't bother her. We need her to feel safe, which is true. So if you find a duck nest, if there's a duck nest on your yard, now it's that's your responsibility. You can't startle the ducks. You don't want to frighten the ducks. The duck the duck will get protective, and also the duck needs to feel safe so it can start laying its eggs, which it will do usually about 1 egg a day. So about a week and a half or so, 2 weeks, it'll take the duck to lay its eggs. Now, you don't need to worry about the mama duck always being there. Mama ducks will leave their eggs unattended. They'll sort of cover them in down and leave them unattended to go eat. And a duck won't start actually intentionally incubating its eggs until they're all laid. And then the eggs don't start developing embryos until the incubation process begins, which is why a duck can lay its eggs over like a 2-week period, but then all the eggs will hatch at the same time. It's because they'll all start incubating and they'll all start developing at the same moment. Little duck fact you didn't know. So the bear family has to be very careful not to scare the mama duck. They don't want to scare her away. I don't know if they'd scare her away. She'll still stand guard, but I mean, obviously she's a wild animal, and they don't want to interfere with her, but they don't want to get in her way. So which means that Papa can't. I guess mowing the lawn is noisy if you're using an or a gas power, but Papa Bear is using a push mower in this picture, and the cubs are like stopping him from doing it. I use a push mower, like a little like reel mower, like a reel with blades, like a sharp blades, like you push the reeled mower. And I don't know, it's not very loud, so I don't know, I keep it oiled and it should be fine, I guess. Also, you guys have a big yard. I can't imagine using a reel mower like that on a yard as big as the Bears. In any case, they're doing a good job. Now's the part where things start getting biologically weird, because it says the cubs peek out the window. Papa Duck comes by. He takes a turn sitting on the nest. Mama Duck needs something to eat. She goes back to the farm. This doesn't happen. Mallard males. So people always see ducks together, and there's sort of a, I guess this is kind of an incorrect assumption, which is that ducks mate for life. Ducks do not mate for life. They don't even mate one at a time, honestly. So ducks are super aggressive when it comes to mating. Male ducks are. And multiple male ducks will attempt to mate with a single female, not to put too fine a point on it, but whether or not she really wants that to happen. So multiple male ducks can actually fertilize a clutch of eggs. So a clutch of eggs might have multiple fathers. One duck will stay with the female for a time. Usually through the laying process, it'll sort of stick around, not because it's trying to be a good father, really, but because it needs to make sure that the eggs are laid and the fertilization process and the fertilization process took place before. The incubation process begins in earnest, and then it will skedaddle. And the reason it skedaddles, first of all, people, it doesn't have anything else to do. Second of all, this isn't some weird aloofness or wildness. The thing is, the male mallards have these bright green heads. We've all seen them. And the brighter the green, the more likely it is they'll attract a mate. The more likely it is they'll reproduce and have offspring. But the downside of this is that the green head of a mallard is just bait for predators. You don't want the green-headed father around the eggs any longer than it has to be, because it's just gonna attract other animals. So the male mallard skedaddles and the female sticks around. And the female does everything. And that's why I said earlier, she will wander off when she needs something to eat. She usually leaves for about an hour. So if you find a group of eggs, like duck eggs in a nest, and there's 3 or 4, and it looks like they've been abandoned, they most likely have not been abandoned. Let them be. Maybe keep an eye on them, but don't get too close and don't hang around, because the mom will get scared. But also just know that she's laying them one at a time. She needs to eat. She knows what she's doing. She's not terribly far off. But also, the father's gone. The father will be gone at some point. But he's definitely not coming back and nesting on the eggs. Mama Duck comes back. She sits on the nest again. Won't those eggs ever hatch? The cubs wonder. And then one day they do. The eggs, and like happens, the eggs all hatch. They usually don't hatch all at the exact same time, but within within a half a day, 12 hours or so, the eggs will all hatch, assuming they've all survived the process. They'll all hatch, and the ducklings will come out, and the mama will be there to greet them and to lead them to water for the first time. Now, of course, in the Berenstain Bears universe, the Papa Duck is still there. Again, not going to happen. As far as I know, Papa Ducks aren't the father duck isn't aggressive towards ducklings. They're just not there. This is the mama's deal now. She's got to lead these ducks to water. She's got to help them survive. Now, as we said before, ducks will build their nests in the strangest of places, including up on rooftops far, far away from a water source, because they're not thinking that far ahead. So usually what a duck does is a hen will lead, just sort of stand there. The ducklings will follow the mama wherever she goes. The hen will lead them to water, and they'll all get in one at a time. Sometimes you can't do that though. Sometimes sometimes they're in an enclosure, like they've laid their eggs in a place where they can't get out, or the ducklings can't get out. Sometimes they're way high up. They'll find weird places to lay the eggs. That's when human intervention is needed, and that's what happens in this story. Because they start leading the ducklings out of the bear's yard, but they come to a busy road. Mama and Papa Duck are heading their ducklings toward the road. Now this happens, and this has happened in my experience, and it's happened in many of my friends' experience. Ducks will be in a certain place, and they'll have to cross to a body of water. And this is a very dangerous time for ducks. They're not terribly smart, and neither are the ducklings. They will attempt to lead their ducklings across a busy intersection or a busy street, and tragedies can and have many times occurred, especially because ducklings are so incredibly tiny. I won't go into the details. Let's just say duckling patties. And so what happens is, it looks like Police Chief Bruno and Officer Marguerite show up, set up roadblocks, and stop the cars from driving down the street so that the ducks and the ducklings can cross the street. Now, it says that Papa calls the police. Don't call the police. Call your wildlife organization, call an information line, a local information. Don't just call 911. They will not appreciate you calling for the ducks, but attempt to slow down traffic, set up cones or something, like a sign, stand by the road and warn people who are coming. But yes, sometimes police officers or safety people or wildlife people will set up a block with permission to help, because the ducks are protected, to help the ducks cross the street, because A, it's the good thing to do, B, it's adorable when it happens, and C, you don't want the ducklings to be dead. You just don't want that to happen. You want the ducklings to be okay. So Officer Marguerite and Police Chief Bruno set up their little blocks. They stop the cars. Everyone in Beartown is happy to let the ducks cross. Now, if you can't do this, if for some reason there is a major impediment to helping ducks across the street or helping ducks get to a body of water, there are additional things you can do to help. First, call a person who knows. Call your wildlife rescue. Call your local animal control people. They are usually the ones who you need to get to do this. And I'm not an expert on this or anything. I read up about this because I was curious as to what they suggest you do if ducks need to get from point A to point B. And there's a whole process. It involves using a net to to corral the ducklings. You put them in a carrier and you carry them to a body of water, making sure that the mama duck is within earshot of the chicks, the ducklings. She'll usually be very agitated, and you have to do this quickly because you don't want the ducklings to get over agitated, because they will freak out and they might have little duckling heart attacks, I guess. And then you set it down near the body of water, and you leave the door closed because you don't want the ducklings just wandering off. You have to let the mama know the ducklings are in there. Then you creep forward and you slowly and gently open the door. The mama duck will join up with her ducklings, and then they'll go into the water. It's a whole process, but there are ways to do this safely for the ducks. Don't just go out and do it. Don't say, well, I listened to a podcast about the Berenstain Bears. I know how to rescue ducks. Trust me, you don't. I don't. I would not be able to do this. I would call somebody, which the Bears did, setting a good example. Again, don't call 911. So, I don't think they need a police escort to the farm once they've crossed the street. I guess the ducks aren't crossing the street in this book. They're walking down the street, which, I don't know, corral them do they need to go down the street? They can kind of cross a field to the farm. I don't know. In any case, the police lead the ducks to Farmer Ben's farm. Good for them. And they go in the pond and they live happily ever after. That's it. Now, this is a 2018 book, by the way. 2018. I'm looking at it now. 2018. So not terribly long ago. The reason I'm doing this book now is because there's some other books, but I have guests lined up and I'm just waiting to talk to those guests. And this is a quick one. So one thing I noticed about this book is it's beautifully illustrated. We got some great Mike duck drawings. Mike loves drawing wildlife. He loves drawing And by this point, 2018, he is so confident with his pen and he's so confident with his brush. Beartown looks great. The bears look great. The coloring is great. I love the way the ducklings look. They're very cute. There's a lot of great wildlife drawing in this book. You can tell Mike just loves drawing animals. And the one thing I noticed, though, about this book is that the bear family themselves, like the Berenstain Bear family, not really important to this story. This could have been any characters. This is shockingly not about the bears. They're there, but they don't have much to do. Just leave the ducks alone, basically, and call the police, I guess. So is this a great book? Is it a great book? No. But is it a cute book? Absolutely. What's interesting, though, is that it's listed not on the book itself, but on the website where I purchased it as an Easter and springtime book for kids. I guess it's a springtime book for kids. I think ducks start laying their eggs, I think, at the end of March is how it works, or that's when they start nesting. That's when you need to be on the lookout for ducks nesting. Not that they're like they're dangerous or anything, but you don't want the ducks. You want the ducks to be like safe. So that's the Berenstain Bears and the Ducklings. I don't have anything else to say about it. I mean, it's a book about ducks, and I got to read a bunch about ducks. So good for me, I guess. Good for me. That's all I have to really say. So if you like this book, if you like this idea about this book, go buy it, I guess. I don't know. I was hoping to have a big, exciting ending, but I don't. It's the Berenstain Bears and the Ducklings. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy this show, listen to my other shows. It's Del Toro Time and Pizza Toast, where they're both on a slight hiatus, I guess. But we'll be back really soon. Willow is having, there's a lot of like construction going on at her mother's house where she lives, so recording has been like a pain because it's always noisy there, and she's busy in the evenings. So don't worry, we'll get to it. We'll get you some more It's Del Toro Time short stories. Pizza Toast will be back in a bit, and we'll be doing the Freaky Friday series, so listen to that. Otherwise, check them out. Check me out on YouTube. Check me out in my neighborhood, I guess. If you see me walking, say hi. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you all next time, deep in Bear Country.